Good morning and welcome back to Table Talk Real Estate, Family, and Legacy. Once again, my name is Eric Martin, your host on this journey. I am a local real estate advisor in the Sarasota, Florida area. I help families and seniors get through the real estate process by coming in very early on, talking with the families, helping the families, and getting everything in line early on. So when things happen, we can then adjust to that. We can then put the motion in motion and help the families get through it with less stress, with less anxiety, and hopefully keeping all those family members intact because there were a plan or options put in place. And I say a plan or options because today we're going to discuss about that most families don't want plans, they want options. And I know in most of my videos, I talk about planning, and that planning, in effect, are options. All right. Those options, right, are what other kind of real estate do they have? Right. When should something be done? How can it be done? Why should it be done? All right. And with that planning comes options. There are options in real estate. There are options in how to sell a home, how to buy a home. But they are scenario based options. So not one doesn't help for the other. So a certain scenario, a certain situation is going to result in how that real estate transaction is done. And this is why coming in early on really helps. All right. So plans, when people plan, I think when they hear the word plan, that means that something is going to happen. And I think most people, again, when they hear that word, we're planning for this, that it's a truth statement. It's going to happen. Something is going to come of it. And I think it scares people. I think it feels like a commitment, right? That we're planning for it, that this is what's going to happen. Like, this is how it's going to be, right? When we discuss options, it allows people to say, okay, I get it. You know, if this happens to mom or dad and they have to go into a memory care facility, right? We can still keep the house. We don't need to sell the house, but we can do this or we can do that. Or when should it be signed over? Like, we know that they're having issues. Like, how do we get it within the family name? Is there options? Should we wait? Should we not wait? Right? Options feel reversible, right? So you have this option that, again, if this happens over here, you know, like number A or letter A happens, right? You have letter B, letter C, and letter D to deal with, right? But then if letter D happens, now you have letter E, F, or G to deal with. So it depends on what happens as to what your options are of what to do. And I hope that makes sense to you. There's no real way for me to sit here and go over every scenario to where everything that can be done within that scenario happens. But when we plan or give you the options or choices then it becomes a lot more clear to you as to when you sit down and you look at these scenarios and then you look at the options, it's a lot more calming. And I get it. It's all word trickery, really. And I don't mean it in a sense of trickery to say, oh, well, we're going to use the word options instead of planning. But planning is kind of options. It's just when people hear the word planning, we're planning for a vacation. Like, it's going to happen. We're planning on moving. It's going to happen. We're planning on buying a new car. It's going to happen. We're planning on moving mom and dad into a facility or a community. More than likely going to happen. And that's why planning is such a negative word in some people's minds, while others, it's just an everyday scenario. Right? So how this usually shows up with real estate talk is we are just gathering info right now, right? We're not ready yet. Let's wait and see. Those terms never work out well. I have had people, clients, let's wait and see what happens. And nothing ever does happen. Right? We're just gathering info. That's great. Gather all your info. But unless you do something with that info, it's just a waste of time. Right? So again, our role as the advisor is to not push or force anything on you to make any rash decisions. It's to allow you to make the right, timely decision, right? We help families before that scenario happens, okay? We have a plan / option in place for when that scenario happens. Everybody is going to be on board with it. Everybody is going to be okay with it. And everybody is going to know how, why, and when it happens. And again, as I've said in previous videos, as a family, wouldn't you want that versus waiting for something, for that scenario to happen and then have to react to it? Okay. I have worked many, many years in retail before I started my full-time journey in real estate, and everything was reactionary, right? Nothing was thought about beforehand. If something wasn't right, they waited for it to break until they fixed it, right? Or they waited for something to happen to figure out how not to let this happen again, right? Instead of sitting here and saying, this is a problem, how are we going to fix it? Everything was waited upon, wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. And sometimes waiting and seeing cost them a lot of money, cost them a lot of time. And whereas if it was looked upon beforehand, it could have saved everybody a lot of time and money. And I have always tried to get people in place, understanding what's going on, being able to sit down and say, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. Because the last thing you want to happen is this happens and you have no idea what you're doing. And you only have, because of this happened, a short time frame to make whatever over here need to happen. And unfortunately, sometimes you need a lot more time for this to happen and you don't have that time. So again, you really need to sit down with your family, assess your situations, and think about bringing somebody in. So again, not to bring anybody down, but just to make sure that you are informed, you are prepared, you have a plan or options, and it will make life so much easier. Well, look forward to seeing you on the next week's video. Have a great weekend.